So we know what happened in Incredibox. We have several killers, and we even know their names, Wenda and Black. By the way, Owax, who we suspected for so long, turned out to be dead. Of course, we know the whole story of the murders, but is everything as obvious as it seemed? From time to time, new information comes up, and even the obvious suddenly becomes unclear. A character we thought was alive turns out to be dead. Moreover, we don't even know who exactly was killed. Among the Sprunki, those maniacs, only one victim is known for certain. Wenda shot Tunner. This game doesn't have a storyline as such, but it's worth noting that the narrative being created is quite well thought out. And now let's take a completely different perspective on this story. What if it's all made up? After all, one character did tell us that it's unreal. I know one mod, and all the mods, including this one, where Gray is portrayed as the killer. It really might all be unreal. What the hell happened? It couldn't have just been this way, right? Everything might truly be unreal, as we've been warned by Mr. Fun Computer, who clearly knows more than anyone else. Unlike the other Sprunki, he can speak in human language. This not-so-fun computer even tells us that everyone is dead, and that we'd better run. Run! Look around you, what do you see? This is all unreal. Run! He repeats these phrases in a loop, making it hard to grasp their full meaning, especially because first, he claims it's all unreal, and then he says everyone is dead. For one, the computer itself is alive. Second, the killers. Third, those who managed to hide well and escape the same fate as the others, and of course those who turned into monsters. There's a clear sense of illogicality in all this, yet at the same time there's something solid to hold on to. It might be reasonable to assume this entire scenario is just a nightmare, most likely a vivid dream experienced by Gray. After all, he is confirmed to be the central figure in the nightmare version, as stated by the developer. However, we also know that in the light version, Simon takes on the role of the main character. Even though this detail is intriguing, it doesn't yet provide us with much clarity. But now let's examine what unfolds specifically in the nightmare version. Let's entertain the idea that this entire sequence is a dream. What indications or signs of a dream can we identify here? There's the inherent unreality of the situation, including the surreal presence of eyes in the sky and an atmosphere that feels overwhelmingly strange. The time of day is completely ambiguous, whether it's sunset, sunrise, or perhaps some representation of hell itself. Then we encounter distorted features such as Black's face, which is entirely baffling and unclear in its appearance. And that's not to mention those who have transformed into outright monsters. It's not uncommon in dreams to see familiar faces, whether friends or relatives, suddenly morphing into terrifying creatures. This could easily be interpreted as another hallmark of a dream. The dead appearing alive, monsters inexplicably present, and their ambiguous behavior all contribute to the surreal and dreamlike quality of the scene. And since the computer itself provides a direct warning about the unreality of the situation, we must take it as a confirmation. This entire sequence of events is happening within Gray's nightmare. Initially, we believed that this cheerful and seemingly harmonious group could never turn on one another. The idea of such drastic changes, even influencing the weather, seemed impossible. However, the unfolding events suggest that this is most likely Gray's terrible and chaotic dream. Even with this theory, though, things remain far from simple or clear-cut. It's entirely possible that we're not witnessing a dream at all, but instead hallucinations that Gray is experiencing. Let's revisit the ominous words of the cheerful computer. Yes, this is all unreal, but they're all dead, so run, run. These words resonate with the sense of panic, confusion, and unreality surrounding the situation. This could very well align with Gray's own thoughts. As his terrified appearance suggests, he's grappling with a reality that feels entirely out of control. It's not just that he might be dreaming, it's that the entire situation feels oppressively real to him. In Gray's perception, the world has suddenly shifted into darkness. Someone has transformed into a monster, someone else has turned into a killer, and nothing makes sense anymore. Then, amidst the chaos, an unnamed figure appears out of nowhere. We, as observers, know him as Black. But within the canon of the story, Gray is completely unaware of Black's existence. This opens up questions about what is happening. Of course, we could rationalize it by assuming that Black was hiding and Gray simply never realized that another killer had appeared or even existed. But if we interpret this as a hint that Gray somehow knows Black, it becomes even stranger, especially because Black never had any presence in the normal mode. These inconsistencies only add to the sense of unreality, reinforcing the idea that this is either a fractured dream or a horrifying hallucination unfolding in Gray's mind. Black doesn't make an appearance at all in this scenario. The moment we put on the hat, we're immediately transported into an entirely different mode, leaving no room for Black's character to be involved. This sudden and unfamiliar figure, appearing out of nowhere to Gray, could very well be nothing more than a hallucination born from his own mind. It's possible that Gray, in his distress and confusion, has chosen to project all the blame onto an imaginary entity, someone or something, to explain the chaos surrounding him. But the deeper question emerges: who is the real killer here? This is the central mystery we're ultimately being led toward. Mr. Fun Computer's words suggest that nothing we're seeing is real, yet it also emphasizes the disturbing fact that everyone is already dead. This unsettling detail hints at something much darker at play, especially when you consider the possibility that Gray might actually be the one who is responsible for all the deaths. Gray is the central character in the horror mode, and this could be a subtle hint at his guilt. Could it be that Gray himself killed everyone? Perhaps he's losing his grip on reality, spiraling further into madness, and his growing fear is causing him to be terrified even by his own shadow. But if Gray is the one who did it, what about Wenda? She's confirmed as a killer, and we need to understand her role in all of this. There are two possibilities. Either Wenda really is the killer, as the evidence suggests, or this entire situation is a fabrication of Gray's mind, his subconscious attempt to convince himself that he isn't the murderer, and that it's Wenda who is responsible. It's no coincidence that Gray and Wenda share such striking similarities in appearance, a detail that raises more questions than answers. Although the developer has insisted that Wenda and Gray aren't directly connected, this could simply be part of Gray's delusion, a way for him to distance himself from the reality of his own actions. The more we analyze the situation, the more it seems that Gray might have imagined the entire scenario. And now, as he comes to this terrifying realization, he's left trembling in fear, fully aware that he could very well be the one who did it all. There's no official storyline to guide us, and it often feels as though the developer is improvising the narrative as it unfolds. Over time, we've gradually been piecing together the fragments of what's really happening. Yet, even with all the theories and interpretations, it's important to remain open to the idea that much of this could be refuted, and the truth could be something entirely different than we imagine. Despite Mr. Fun Computer telling us that everything is unreal, he also claims that everyone is dead. This contradicts the developer's statements, which confirm who died and who survived. If everyone is supposedly dead, how can that be true if not all are actually gone? Who might Mr. Fun Computer mean by everyone? Perhaps only those who truly died, turned into monsters, or became killers. But what does Gray have to do with this central role? And how does Simon, the protagonist in the light version, fit in? In the light version, it's unclear who is who, but I think over time we'll get more information and finally learn what's really happening. So, what do you think? Is this all a dream, hallucination, or reality? Share your opinion in the comments.